Hey everybody, this is Jen Healy coming to you with another video. My dear friend Dalia Ali, and
Hello, hello.
wanted to discuss with you some of the downloads from the higher domains that have been coming through in our sessions. And in this process, we've also discovered that these universal truths not only apply to ourselves and our clients, but they're actually useful and beneficial for everyone. So I've been collecting these little golden nuggets, I call them, from each one of my sessions that I've had with my clients with the QHHT work, and I want to share them with you. And I feel really blessed that Dalia is willing to have the conversation, and we're going to stay connected and share these videos with you. And I really appreciated that she thought it was potent to discuss what's up right now and relate these universal truths and these downloads from the higher domains to what's happening in the atmosphere, what's happening in the environment. So I'm going to give Dalia an opportunity to share, and we're going to go back and forth. And this video is really designed for us to open up a dialogue and discussion, have a conversation about it, and we welcome your feedback and comments on anything that you would like for us moving forward in the future to talk about. So thank you, Dalia, for being here. It's so nice to share some video time with you again.
Yeah, I feel very honored to be doing this conversation again with you. You're such a beautiful co-creator and a great energy that I like to co-create with and just share our insights. Both of us are QHHT practitioners, but we're also healers and human beings after all. And it's just I felt like it's very important to share because we came back from the experience of the training and it was such a high frequency experience. And when each one of us came back to the respective homes, it's like nothing is the same anymore. And it's not like we left it when we went to Miami, Florida. And so I felt that energy shift. I felt the frequency shift in my work environment, in my home environment, in the streets. It's big, and we need to come together and sort of figure out what is going on and what is our role in this wave and in this phase of life in 2020. So I'm so excited to talk more about that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's the second week of March, just to document it. It's actually Pi. It's actually 3/14 today. And I
Yeah.
math and physics and science. So I love Pi, and it's such a different 3.14 day for me. And we've come back from our Level II QHHT training. And what has happened, just a recap, since Sunday, really, a week now, is that there has been a kind of an exponential growth in concern about this viral that has originated months ago in China, but then as it's spreading and moving across the continent, people are experiencing more and more concern at the lighter levels, and then deep fear and panic at the deeper levels. And so within a week, we've had schools close and events cancel, and a lot of shift and changes in the way that we're interacting as a society. There's been an invitation, or really a mandatory invitation is such a nice way of putting it, a mandatory kind of isolating and quarantining of anyone who, of course, has signs of this virus, but also people are isolating into their homes and working from homes. And this could be a necessary step in trying to minimize the impact of this virus, but we also want to look at what is the universal truth that's happening here. Why is this happening to us? What is the gift in it? What is really necessary for us to boost our immune system and build our immunity, not only physical immunity, but mental and emotional immunity to something that is spreading globally? And then what is also the challenge for us? What do we need to do to grow as a community and as a society to really show up for one another and have this bring us together, even when we're feeling the disconnect of sitting in our own individual homes? So I feel really fortunate that we have at least this medium of video and our social networks to have the conversation and stay connected and really feel that heart-centered support for one another during these times of challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really want to double down on that and say that I feel like that what's happening now is almost like a call to action for all the light workers, people who are heart-centered and are trying to stay as high frequency as they can within these distressing times. I feel like this is the time that we can come together and can really put our muscles to the test and expand our role in these times and expand what we can do to help ourselves and to help others in these trying times. And also, like, just remember that this was the original mission. Like, this is what we trained for all our lives. And I feel like the time is now to step into this new reality and a new understanding of things and almost shift the perspective of what's happening, that it doesn't have to be fear-based. It doesn't have to come from a place of contraction. It can actually be an invitation to introspect and to look inwards and really analyze our ways of relating to Mother Nature, our ways of relating to ourselves. You know, what is self-care? What is self-love? What does it mean to be healthy in one's own body? And how you can be aligned in your center to feel that inwards love radiation, but also to feel safe. And how do you actually use your breathing power to generate air and to generate space and to generate more power around you in your field, so that when you're walking, you know that you're unharmed, you know that you're safe. And I know, Jen, that you worked a lot with meditation techniques, breathing techniques, and visualization. And I think it would be very, very helpful to share with people a few tools that they can use to actually be in this heart vibration and meditative auric field of protection.
Thank you. Yeah, and I appreciate you checking out my transformational training online. It is a meditation activation course. It's really techniques. It's not traditional meditation. It's really about giving people the tools, just like we're talking about, how to align, protect themselves, boost their immune system, come into a place of centeredness and connection with the earth and connection with their higher self, to be able to truly hear and listen to their guidance, to recognize the truth when they hear it, to be able to sift through what is the noise and what is a true signal, what is the truth, what is a fact, and what is fear. Because fear is actually creating like a dissonance in the field, or it's jamming our signal where we're not able to really recognize what is true here. And we get kind of pulled down this river. You know, there is a sea of consciousness that we're all a part of, and we're acting as a global family now, right? There are some benefits to this, that we can see something spread across the globe and within a week completely dismantle and shift our entire lives, which means we can shift it. We can shift our perspectives and have a global impact that quickly too, depending on our focus, right? Depending on whether we're spreading that much positivity and inspiration, or whether we're really spreading more of this panic. And I know that there are a lot of people that are staying calm and centered and really true to themselves. And thank you for holding that vibration, because we're all acting as frequency holders. But we also want to impact more people, right? We want to have like the general population know that there are practices and techniques and tools available to keep the nervous system calm enough so we can hear and really entrain with those higher vibrations and stay in tune with ourselves. And this could be something not just within our own little bubble, you know, of light workers, but that the average person can know that they're connected, that they can protect themselves and keep themselves safe by building their mental, emotional, and psychospiritual immunity, as well as washing their hands.
Yeah.
Yes, get back to the basics and wash our hands and keep things hygienic and clean and sterile, and
Mm-hmm.
also take care of one another by keeping our own immunity high, right? It's only those with a compromised immune system that are being impacted by this. Right now, that's what we've seen, and it's been the elderly, right? So what can we do to keep our immune systems high, which is the best way to protect other people from getting sick? Right. And so I like to give lots of tools for that. I offer a free month of the transformational training online. I'll put that in the comments. I'll put that in the description for anybody who wants to dive in. But most importantly, creating our bubble, right? So we want to know that we have a bubble of energy around us and that we can protect ourselves by cleansing and clearing our energy field, as well as doing an internal cleanse. This is cleanse month for me. Every March I run a big cleanse program. So cleansing and boosting the immune system. I'll give people lots of tips and tools for all that if anybody wants help. Particularly this month, I'll do calls and Skypes and all of that for half price to help support one another. But yeah, getting back to our conversation, I wanted to share some of the clips that we came across in our QHHT training. And you and Kaya wound up having a conversation because you were acting as practitioner in a demo session, and Kaya was channeling, he was one of our main teachers, he was channeling some higher wisdom. And so I think it would really be important for us to listen to those clips together as we move along here and really get a sense of what's going on, right? We stepped out into this world that looks and feels so different. And what is the call to action? What are we really tapping into in terms of shifting to living our highest truth, following our dreams, making adjustments? Like in our session, Dalia, if you're okay with talking about it, there was like this idea of putting ourselves in environments that are conducive for our optimal health. Right? And that's one of the things that we're looking at here. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, I think the path of alignment with one's higher self is really, really important to acknowledge. Like these days, especially when the economy is crumbling down and the version of reality that we're very accustomed to is sort of like falling between the cracks, and there is this sense of unpredictability of where this is going. How long is this going to take until we recover from this? But all these uncertainties, I see them as great opportunities for asking really, really important questions. And one of the biggest questions that we ask in QHHT, what is my purpose? What am I here to do? What is my real purpose in this life? Because, we have our jobs, we have our vocations, we have our families, but then there's always this inner calling of, oh, I feel a connection with something bigger than myself. And I want to answer that call, and I want to resonate from this place. And so the more we work on developing this connection to our higher selves and finding more meaning and more reasons of why we're here and what is it really that we're here to do, the more we start to look at our lives and see, like, how can I turn my life to make it the most high vibrational possible? Is my life, the way that it's set up, really matching my higher purpose in life? And sometimes we choose certain life choices, certain job choices for other reasons, to do with like career achievements or like monetary gains. But really, once you start directing your life to a larger meaning, a lot of these things just fall to the side. Not that they're not important, but there's like a big overarching vision of who you are, and that requires certain elements to fall into place. And most importantly is your environment, your direct environment. So in my session, it was very clear to me that I needed more connection to nature, that I needed to be outside more. And I work at an office, just like a lot of people do, and I have a 9-to-5 job, which I love it. It's very meaningful. I'm very driven, but I also acknowledge my body's need to be well, because as we're shifting into this higher frequency vibration, our bodies are starting to change, and the changes are coming in all these like different ways. But we need more sunlight, we need more air, and this is how to actually expand on this like immunity theme that we were talking about earlier. It's like we need to give our bodies the nourishment they need for them to be healthy. You can't trap your body in a room all day and expect for it to behave perfectly and to be immune to all outside attacks. So it's a give and take, and it is like any relationship. You just got to honor your body, and you got to understand really what it needs to be healthier and to shine on. It is your vehicle, and it's how you present yourself to the world.
Yes. Yeah. And one of the beautiful gifts of QHHT is we're able to communicate with our higher selves and tap into these higher realms. That is so important for us as individuals to know that it's possible, not just some special person who channels or a guru who sits in meditation all day, that each and every one of us can learn the technique and learn how to tap into that infinite well of knowledge, of wisdom, of answers, of solutions. I've been going deep into my meditation process and having these transmissions to know that there is a solution to every problem that's being presented, and we have to align with that solution. So that's why it's so important as a reminder, and why we wanted to jump online together to say, hey, is your environment, even if you're home now and you're going to be in this quarantine mode for a little while, is your home conducive for your optimal radiant health? Is the people around you in your environment supporting your immune system, our emotional immunity, our mental immunity, our psycho-spiritual and physical immunities? Really think about that. What does that mean for you? Because of course, I might be saying words and you're like, what in the world does that mean, right? So we know for sure there's been plenty of studies done by Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden and Joe Dispenza and all these great people we know, that fear will lower your immune system, right? Worry is going to lower your immune system. Constantly inundating yourself with all of the news and the what ifs, because there's a lot of projections right now of the worst possible case scenario. And just know that if we live that way, we're being detrimental to our health and our well-being. It is so important right now to boost yourself, to boost one another. And that immune system will start to respond. Your nervous system will start to respond. We want to lower our stress levels even under challenge, right? It's like where the rubber meets the road is when we're challenged. Can we really put our teachings to the test and really start to practice and uplift one another? And we don't have to like just sweep it under the rug. I'm not just talking about like airy fairy, like everything's fine, but be informed, you know, get the facts, get the true education and knowledge that you need on this. And then remember to take care of yourself in this way of having environments that are conducive for your well-being. I can't stress enough.
I want to second that, and also want to say, like, remember how powerful your mind is, because our minds are like electromagnetic field stations. You're creating the thoughts of your reality, and your reality is manifesting based on your thought process. And if you keep having these fear-based thoughts, those worry-based thoughts, you're creating a stress field for yourself that is really affecting your body negatively. But if you're generating thoughts that are uplifting you and uplifting others around you, you're creating a more protective and a more shielded auric field for yourself and others. So really it comes back down to monitoring our thoughts, monitoring what kind of thoughts do we want to think and what kind of words do we want to express to others. Are we expressing words of fear, or are we expressing words of love and reassurance and hope, and knowing that everything is happening for a reason, even if we don't understand the larger perspective of what coronavirus represents. Right now, we don't have all the facts, but we just understand that there is an ecological balancing system. It's checks and balances, and we are part of that ecosystem. We're not outside of it. This is not an outside attack. This is all part of the ecosystem that we're part of. And it's just very interesting that coronavirus attacks the lungs. And I see the lungs as the trees when you look at it symbolically. It's the respiratory system of our ecosystem, but also the respiration of our bodies. And when you think of why coronavirus is attacking the trees in our bodies, it's because there is an imbalance in the larger ecosystem. And there is, this attack is really a metaphor of imbalance, and it is really a catalyst for us to inspect our ways and to inspect what we've been doing to the environment. Like, have we been causing damage to the environment, and how can we mend this? How can we mend the disconnect, the gap that we've created as humans between us and nature and the natural world? How long can we sustain ourselves? How long can we survive outside of that? And I think the coronavirus is really like a reminder and a catalyst to challenge us, because we seem to be going in a very fast track direction, in more growth and overgrowth, more like using the resources of the earth. And when is this going to stop? And it feels like Mother Earth is giving us an invitation to put the brakes on and to slow down and to look inwards and question our life choices and our lifestyles.
Yeah, this is definitely a time for introspection and coming back into balance and understanding how it's all interconnected, right? Like our bodies are a holographic representation of the earth. So when we do focus on healing the body and coming back into balance in ourselves, then we also can see the earth and our bodies are the same organism. It's the same organics. And it's really important to look at that symbolically, like Dalia is encouraging. What do the lungs represent? What do the trees represent? What does breathing represent? What does it mean to be in environments that are conducive for our strong immune system and well-being? And we are noticing that even things that are outside of us, like the space, right? We're in the United States. Dalia and I are having this conversation coast to coast, but this started in China, and that other people's environments were all in the same sea. So we want to support and encourage one another, right? Uplift one another to live healthier lives, to know that we're all interconnected and breathing the same air. And that's what we're being reminded of something like this. So we don't want to separate and isolate in terms of being afraid of that, but how can we uplift and support one another to live in optimal health and keep the earth as healthy and clean as possible?
Yeah, just in my own personal experience, to comment on the concept of the new earth and the shifts, and that the new earth is here. I was back from Miami, and I was feeling very, very, very uplifted by the entire experience of just like being among so many light workers and so many kindred spirits. And so when I came back to New York, to realize like, wait a minute, this is so different. People are actually scared. And it took me a while to like understand, like, what are they scared of? Like, for me, this is like influenza. This is like all the many ways that you can die. You can die in a car accident, you can die, so it was like, oh, it's one of those things like in the background, but it does not really affect my life. It doesn't. But then I realized that it does, because of just the amount of anxiety that I could feel in the air. Like, not even talking to people, just walking in the street, I was able to sense the anxiety in the energy of just like walking in an empty street. But then I understood, like, oh, this is the field that we're navigating right now. And that somehow we are able to step in both worlds at once, and to have a foot in the new earth and a foot in the old earth, and to understand like, oh, this is the Vesica Pisces, the shift, and we're at the intersection. So I feel like us light workers, or like people who understand this concept of the new earth, they are very, very like centric to navigating this phase, because they understand like the part of this is just the fear vibrations and the illusion, the mass illusion that is being created, and that a lot of people are subscribing to that, and they're feeding off of that into their own inner insecurities and their own existential fears of what's going to happen to us. Are we going to survive? Are we going to die? Like all these questions. And we all have all these existential questions. But like, here's a new version of reality where it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be fear-based. It can be love-based, and it can be about community and about us figuring things out together, and teamwork and collaboration and helping one another. Because this is not the time of separation. This is the time of bonding and of remembering our human tribe. Like, we've always existed among the eons as communities. It was never about being individuals and being solo travelers and succeeding, and that is amazing, and kudos to that. But this is a big, huge reminder of our communal needs of just like being there for one another and supporting each other in that way. And just figuring out alternative ways of being in the world, like permaculture, like agriculture, like growing our own foods. Like, these are all concepts that have been felt very connected to. I never actually explored it personally, but I feel like this is the time to consider alternative ways of living and existing that is not heavily reliant on the capitalistic system and the huge economy. Because if that stumbles, then how are we going to survive? And that calls for more cooperation and more creativity. We are in charge, and we do have the power. So I think Kaya's message is just incredible, to remind us all that the new earth is here and is waiting for us to step into it fully and to show others the new way of living, a way that is more sustainable, a way that is more in harmony with nature, a way that we can gather and we can be there for one another. And remember that love conquers fear. That's like my last my last cherry on top.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, so there's two versions of reality happening simultaneously. And thank you for speaking to that. So when we know for sure that when we align with fear, that we're participating in the dense 3D reality, the one that we have been seeing that's perpetuated, but there is another version. What Kaya was speaking to is there's another version of Earth happening simultaneously that is operating at a higher level that we must vibrate with in order to see and birth and experience. And so this happens by shifting to a love vibration, by looking for solutions, by getting into what shifts and changes are being called for from us. And that's what Dalia was just speaking to as well. It's like, what good is coming of this, and what are we learning from this, and what changes are we willing to make? First, the change in perspective. So we can look at it as another doomsday, but we've seen this pattern play out over and over again, and how it keeps us locked into the grip of control and dependency on a system that is possibly collapsing, as Dalia hinted to there. But what else is happening? What are we being really called to within ourselves? Like, what truth can we tap into? What can we truly trust right now in terms of listening to our inner guidance and following the impulse to make the changes so that we can thrive both individually and collectively, and make that shift within our society so that we're actually experiencing the type of planet that we have been dreaming of. That's what I mean. That's what I think we mean by birthing a new earth. So it already exists, and it's like I've been seeing that split, like there's been a holographic peeling back of the layers, and those versions of reality are existing, and we have to shift our vibration to it. That's why we want to build our immune system. That's why we want to make sure that we are honing and tuning our focus so we can actually focus on the things that we're wanting to create out of this. There's been so many challenges, eons upon eons, each generation overcoming whatever limitations that have been brought forth. Kaya was talking about how we've become masters of limitations on the earth plane. His channeling the star system was saying that's what we're learning on the earth. So to overcome our limitations is pointing to our freedom. So that is collectively what I've been experiencing, is a limitation in our freedom and a lack of choice. So the remedy is to get back into our truth and into our balance, into our center, finding our voice, finding our choice, really aligning with our truth, and start to take action to build the kind of community, connection, and relationship to the earth that is going to be conducive for us to flourish and thrive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is part of life. We go through these cycles. These things are here to teach us. There's a message both collectively and individually of how this virus, this latest experience that has had a global impact, how we are personally learning from it, what can we get from it, and what good can come of this, right? Where you have so much resilience as a species and as beings. And when we come together and really focus on the solution, like you said, viruses will eventually be eradicated. These things, there's always something coming next. And how can we rise to meet the occasion and remember that we have this power that is backing us? That's the most important thing I got from my meditation this morning, that I am guided, I am connected, I am being given all of the tools and the resources and the support, the love and guidance that I need to take the next step. And this is really a collective awakening. Like, are we living our truest and highest potential? Is there anything that you've been wanting to do that you've been putting on hold? Like, now's the time to really go for it, right? A lot of these dreams, a lot of these wishes, we all have the same desire to have community, to have a sense of family and belonging, and to be working in harmony with one another. That this collective field, we're feeling it more and more. Like Dalia said, even when she was walking down the street, we can feel one another. We can feel when we're exuberant and buoyant and alive and joyful, and we can feel the collective heaviness when we're all feeling that stress or that pressure that's being put on us, you know, a sense of limitation or control, which never feels good. So let us use this as an opportunity to come together and rise. And Dalia, what would you like to say in terms of closing it up here for today?
I would just keep it simple. Like, don't give coronavirus a chance, and just be there in your ultimate power and vibrate from joy and from love, and nothing will touch you. That's really it. I'm just like so happy that you guys were watching us today. And thank you, Jen, for giving me this opportunity to like talk about these themes with you. And yeah, this has been much fun for me. So thank you again.
Yeah, I look forward to doing more of these. I'm calling them downloads from the higher domains, in terms of taking these nuggets and these universal truths that come through in our QHHT sessions and sharing them with you. And we're also going to try some live transmissions and get into a meditative state together. So please do offer up your comments and your questions, and we will come back with a series with these videos and share with you If these are helpful, we love to hear from you. That really means a lot to us that you're watching and spending some time with us. And then I'll leave some links in the description to get in touch with me if you want a session, if you want to do on phone or online, if you're at home quarantined. I'm happy to help support you, support your immune system, support you and help guide you just with some empowerment coaching, with some meditation practices, sharing these different techniques and tools. And then Dalia, is there a website or anything that you would like to give a shout out to before we leave here?
Yeah, there is a website that's coming soon, actually, and well, it's going to be called Cosmic Serpent of Light, and yeah, it's going to come out next week, and I will put a link to it in the description.
That's right. Well, we'll have all the links for you in the description. Thank you so much. This is Jen Healy and Dalia Ali. Until next time, namaste.
Namaste.
Ciao.
Ciao.